from what unites us to what divides us. The new Culture Secretary, Nandy, has said to government employees that the era of the culture wars is over. Now, is it really? Judita, this is from the Labour Party, which, to my mind, seems to have done more to encourage the culture wars than any other party in history.
I wouldn't say that, because I think what Nandy is speaking to is what has been happening pretty much across most of the Western world, which is the highlighting of the differences between peoples, and that spurs on an animosity between them, really heightens fracture lines between a society, and then you have the kind of contention you have that we saw going into this last election. She's saying, coming on the back of that, if you move towards pride in Britain, but a Britain that is made up of different communities, recognising them, celebrating, and the contribution they make to make this Britain great. That's a wonderful thing. That's a beautiful ethos going forward, which is more inclusive of everyone that goes together to populate Britain.
I mean, Kelvin, the biggest culture divide or culture war at the moment is the gender issue, isn't it? And Nandy did once infamously say that trans women are women and trans men are men and should be accommodated in the prison of their choosing. Now, if that isn't a divisive culture war, I don't know what isn't.
Well, actually, the biggest division right now, in taking your point about the difference of the kind of the people we have in our country, of course, was highlighted in the general election, in which 5 pro-Gaza Muslim MPs were elected and defeated the Labour candidate. So I think the problem is Nandy has to say something. All the ministers have been told you've got to do something. For instance, Miliband has now banned oil exploration. New oil wells being looked at in the North Sea. You've got somebody else doing something. And so Nandy says, well, I've got to say something. I'm going to say I'm in favour of us all getting on a lot better. There is no possibility in a free speech world, and actually really in a social media world, where people are going to agree with each other. What we've discovered is that not only do we get a vote, we have the ability to go on X or Twitter or whatever it is and actually say these things. And it's that issue which means, and that is why I don't even know why she bothered saying any of this, because it fundamentally will not be true. People want to have pride in their country, but there is likely to be division based on culture.
See, that's the difference. When you're saying about there will always be differences of opinion because people are individuals. I cannot just intrinsically think like you. I'm a different person from you.
Indeed,
but
correct.
It's possible to function with a difference of opinion without being combative and antagonistic in the process.
That's where I disagree with you.
But I think that comes down to the functionality of having, when you say you represent all communities and celebrate all communities, because those communities exist in Britain, they make up Britain, they vote in Britain, they pay taxes in Britain. But what has led to the contention...
Why do we have, sorry to interrupt you, Dida, why do we have to have different communities? What's wrong with us all just being one community?
No, but it's the same thing, like you said, between men and women. Men don't go through what women go through. You have to recognise and respect a difference. And when you feel respected, you feel understood, you feel you have value, and then you don't feel you're fighting with men or you're combating with men or there's a contention with men. You understand that you occupy a space of value that recognises your individuality, and that can work in tandem with someone else.
Let me ask you a question then. If we had the same discussion in a year's time, does anybody honestly believe that Nandy will have turned out to be correct, that actually we're all getting along a lot better and we only have one object? The answer, honestly...
We don't exist in utopia.
This will not happen.
That will not happen.
It will not happen.
What she's doing is making strides in the right direction rather than doing nothing.
She's saying something because she's been ordered by the Prime Minister from each of the divisions of their ministries, say something. So she's decided to say that.
Something. She said that this is going to be the platform that her section of the ministry is going to be working on. So she's basically said, this is the work I am going to do. These are the endeavours we're going to take.
Well,
for you to
Nandy is very lucky even to be in a job, isn't he? Let's be honest. Once you get culture, the next job is basically pushing a broom outside audits, you know.
On the flip side of what you said, imagine in a year's time, her endeavours actually improve the social state of the community. What would you then say?
I'd be amazed, and B, I'd be delighted. And I absolutely guarantee to you that everybody now has a view which is basically at odds with somebody else's view. Yeah. This is the world we're in. I mean, and I'm afraid we just have to accept it. So I quite enjoy the ministries all saying this is what we're going to do, you know, being punchy and getting out there, and the Tories are rubbish. But actually, in her case, I don't think it's
have to
effective.
start off on a positive foot, and it'll be very interesting what Rosie Duffel, the Labour MP, has to say about Lisa Nandy's culture war as well. Meanwhile, you out there are saying, Martin, Lisa Nandy doesn't know what day of the week it is, never mind what a culture war is. And Terry says Lisa Nandy will stoke the culture wars. Things are going to get much worse with her and Dodds in charge. Neither can define a woman. And I'm sorry, that's what I keep coming back to as well. And Lisa Nandy did infamously say that if anyone disagreed with her on the trans women being women thing, they shouldn't be in the Labour Party. Hello, Rosie Duffel, give us a call.